Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the news briefing this Wednesday, August 13th. We are going to start off today with a community update. We're very pleased to have the US EPA with us and a representative from Vistra Corporation. They're going to talk about the battery removal process at the Moss Landing Vistra facility, as well as what will be happening in the months to come. We're very pleased to have Kazami Brockman and David Yeager here with us to talk about it. Kazami, we're hoping you'll start us off with information from the US EPA.
Sure, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kazami Brockman. I'm an on-scene coordinator, or OSC, with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency Region 9 Emergency Response Program, and I'm one of several OSCs with EPA working on this project. It's my pleasure to be here again today to provide an update on the Moss Landing battery removal process, and thank you to Monterey County for having us again. As we discussed last time, EPA formalized our agreement with Vistra on July 17th to remove and dispose of batteries impacted by the January 2025 fire. And I'm here to provide an update on the progress that has been made since. So since the finalization of the agreement, on-site work has ramped up, starting with building stabilization and partial demolition work. This involves clearing access to the building, partial targeted demolition, and adding structural supports and other protective measures in key areas to facilitate safe retrieval of batteries. Preparatory work for this has already started, so the community can expect to see and may have already observed construction personnel, vehicles, and equipment, including cranes, arriving at the site. Dust control and perimeter and community air monitoring measures are in place during all of these activities. After the stabilization and partial demolition activities are completed, we expect battery removal will begin in September. And with battery removal, we're proceeding in a worst first fashion to address the batteries at higher states of charge, presenting a higher risk. Damaged batteries can be unstable, and an emergency response plan was developed by Vistra and reviewed and approved by EPA for this response to address any potential flare-ups. This plan was included with the Administrative Settlement and Order on Consent. That's the ASAOC agreement that I mentioned earlier. And that document was posted on our website. And as I did last time, I'll post that link to the EPA website specific to Moss Landing in the chat as I conclude my remarks. Once the batteries are removed from the building, they will be inspected, treated, or de-energized on-site in preparation for off-site transport and disposal. The EPA sets a priority on worker safety and the safety of the community during all activities, and will continue to oversee operations of the site until EPA determines that the threat to human health and the environment from the impacted batteries remaining on the site has been fully addressed. We anticipate this work to continue for over a year due to the technical complexity, as well as the safety measures that are being put in place to protect workers and the community. However, our goal is to get these batteries out as safely and as quickly as possible. Okay, next, I want to provide an update on our community engagement process. Central to our work is ensuring we hear from the community and are responsive to the community's information needs. We know the fire was deeply felt by the community, and we want to ensure that we are doing everything we can to provide transparency and clarity as the work starts. To these ends, we launched the website, the web page I mentioned earlier, and have been working on developing a community involvement plan rooted in feedback from the members of the community. For our community involvement plan, we interviewed 16 stakeholders representing a wide cross-section of the community. These interviews gave us insights into community sentiment and ways that the community would like to receive information. It also informed which outreach activities we will continue throughout the project. We are working on reviewing and providing input on the community involvement plan that was provided by Vistra and expect to finalize it by September 1st. And that plan will be posted on our website once complete and the notice will be sent out to the community via our email mailing list. And you can join that mailing list via the website as well. In addition to doing interviews and drafting the plans, the community involvement plan, we have continued to email updates to stakeholders and to update our website. To join the email list, again, you can visit our website. We also want to extend our deep thanks to Supervisor Glenn Church for his support in helping to share information through his monthly newsletter. And we seek partnerships like the one with Supervisor Church as a critical part of the success of our work, and we're grateful for the support. For the most up-to-date information from EPA, please continue to check the Moss Landing webpage. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you today, and I'm happy to stick around for any questions.
Thank you so much, Kazami, for giving us a great and thorough update on what's going on. I want to remind people that David Yeager, who is the Director of Project Development at Vistra, is on the call. He is available for questions. So if anyone has questions for Vistra and Mr. Yeager, please go ahead and you can put them in chat, or you can raise your hand and ask the question directly. So I'm just going to take a peek and see if there are any questions for both Kazami or David Yeager from Vistra.
Great.
I did get a question. So thank you for holding on for just a second. So our first question for you, how many batteries, or have any batteries been removed at this point?
No batteries have been removed from the site. As I mentioned earlier, we expect that work to start in September. So batteries have been delinked, which was an initial step to cut down on the risk of further incident where accessible.
Thank you. Next question, where will the batteries be taken? Will they be recycled? And that could be two separate questions.
Yes, so the disposal and recycling facilities have not been finalized. However, we will have a priority on recycling as much as possible.
And I think in a previous presentation, you discussed there could be recycling on site as opposed to transporting. And I don't know if you could talk a little bit about the recycling.
So at this point, recycling would be happening off-site.
Okay.
I'm not sure which briefing that information came out. So yeah, at this point, so recycling involves reclaiming of materials and metals from the batteries for reuse, and that would be happening off-site. We would be treating batteries on-site to ensure that they are safe for transport.
And my apologies, that may have been what I was thinking. You're treating before recycling. So thank you very much for clarifying that. Another question for you, is the plant still coming back online during the removal process? And that might be a question for Vistra.
Yeah,
Hi, David.
Let me hop back on. So regarding the restart, the plant obviously is going through a recovery phase, so there's no plans for restart of Moss 300 facility until well after cleanup and all those pieces. And then the other there are other projects on site, I think, as many are aware, but there's been no determination on restart on those either. Do want to add a clarification too, that we do have a natural gas fuel unit on site that is active and does make power. So there are occasions where you might see steam coming from that asset, but that is not tied to any battery project at all.
Thank you so much, David. You partially answered the next question about a timeline of coming online, which is yet to be determined. The second half of that question is when this cleanup is, a year from now, when this cleanup is completed, how do you know this won't happen again? What you might want to talk about, can you talk about steps that are being taken, prevention?
For sure. So I think primary focus for us is to understand what exactly occurred first. So that investigation's still well underway, and we don't have definitive findings to report just yet. So that's step one. is to understand what occurred. And with that's a multi-step process, very complex. This effort and the work that's going on site will help us in that process too. So it's been a very important milestone to get to begin access to stabilize the building and be able to get into the building. So that's a part of that investigation, and it's well underway.
Thank you very much. Any other questions for David or Kazami before we move on to our next topic? Or Kazami, you were going to say something and we had a question.
I wanted to add to my response earlier about the disposal and recycling facilities. Just wanted to clarify that any disposal and recycling facility for the batteries would have to be approved by EPA.
Thank you for that. Any last questions on the Moss Landing topic before we move on to our next subject? One more question. To clarify, no Vistra battery plant operations are storing electricity on the site now. What about PG&E batteries?
I can't comment on PG&E batteries. Those are, separate companies, separate facility. But all of the battery plants for Vistra are offline currently.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Just holding a second in case anything comes up. If we do get some questions post-briefing or that come in after we've moved on, I'll be happy to forward them to both Kazami and David for a response. Thank you both, gentlemen, for being here and giving us an update on this very important topic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Well, now we are heading into the heaviest part of Car Week. If you live in Monterey County, you know all about Car Week. We're going to check back with our safety partners about what they are seeing at this point in Car Week and to get a reminder about those safety messages. We're very pleased to have Saul Perez with the California Highway Patrol with us to start off. Saul, thank you so much for being here to talk about safety and Car Week.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. So like mentioned, my name is Saul Perez. I'm an officer with the CHP, specifically the Public Information Officer. So just to reiterate from our last meeting that we have, it's in essence going to be the same thing. We're going to obviously be seeing a lot of traffic be coming in. Obviously, the locals here are already starting to see that effect that comes to this. A lot of traffic coming in, tourism and everything. Lots of beautiful cars out here as well. Our message is simple, just be courteous to the motoring public out here, as well as the people who are around these locations, not even just driving, but also the pedestrians around the local communities, the neighborhoods and stuff. Enjoy your weekend out here, but do it so responsibly. Please do not speed. Our officers are out there enforcing these type of distracted driving and speeding vehicles as well. As well as that to the locals, we've been seeing the communication between one another in terms of patience. So we thank you for that. And again, another message that we really want to put out there is, in case you do see any type of reckless drivers, drunk drivers, don't hesitate in calling it in. That's why we're here. We're here to provide the highest level of safety and service and security for our community. But other than that, please enjoy the weekend, but do it so safely.
So thank you for really reiterating those messages. Now, last year you had some pretty, I'm not sure the word fun, but pretty interesting stops with some pretty high profile cars that were speeding on Highway 1 during Car Week. Are you seeing any of those type of things yet?
Yeah, so we definitely are. Like I said, our officers are out there being proactive, not waiting for these calls to come up, rather intervene before they come up. So yesterday, if you follow our social media pages, one of our officers did pull over five vehicles around the coastline as well too. And there has been some other stops around the county. So we'll be continuing to update our community with our social media posts. Should they be interested, they can go ahead and follow us on social media.
So thanks very much for taking a minute and telling us what's happening and giving us those important reminders. We also have our friend Curtis Rhodes from CAL FIRE BEU to talk a little bit about fire safety during Car Week. You might not think that fire and Car Week go together, but they certainly do. Curtis, thanks for being here.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on again. It's always a pleasure to come out and inform the public on what we're seeing. We do work in conjunction with Mr. Perez and Mr. Black out there on the peninsula to coordinate and cooperate as we see the week transition through Sunday. First and foremost, we want to reiterate keeping the fire lanes clear. We know that a lot of these events happen up and down the peninsula, so people tend to travel from different types of events. And when you get there, typically these events will have designated parking areas. The last thing you want to do is show up to an event, not have a designated parking pass for the area that they deem necessary, and park in the red zones. This is going to block our first responders that have to show up or respond to any of the calls pertaining to that event specific, and or getting out and spotting our apparatus in the event we have to respond back out to the public. With that, if you see these vehicles, not only the fire engines, but AMR, CHP, or Monterey County SO with their lights on responding to an incident, please pull to the right and let them get through, as they have the right of way and need to be somewhere in timely fashion. When we talk about the dry vegetation that we're seeing out there on the peninsula, we have seen some vegetation fires this week start from cars, not in Monterey, but around San Benito, Monterey. The grass is very dry. We know a lot of these vehicles are low to the ground, so if you do have to pull over to the side of the road, please be mindful and find a location that is safe for your vehicle. Don't pull into these dry grasses, as the potential to start a wildland fire is very high right now, specifically to the Monterey Peninsula. Avoid parking in those tall grasses and leaving your vehicle there unattended, because it may not start right away. And if you see one of those vehicles smoking or pulled off into the high grass, please utilize 911 and call emergency services so that we can come out and mitigate any of those issues. As always, we're going to keep in our safety message things that we've had in years past. We do know that fireworks are prohibited in Monterey. With some of these sideshows or unpermitted car events that we see around, especially at night. If you see people lighting off fireworks, please notify not only the law enforcement, but fire will come out and talk to those individuals as well. And if you are visiting from out of the area and you are not familiar with the local permitting, please ensure that you're not having campfires anywhere around the federal or state managed forests near the area on the peninsula. We don't want to see any vegetation fires that transition out into the wildland. And with that, and the dry vegetation that we're seeing this year and the amount of fires that we've seen start here locally over the past few weeks, please be mindful. If you are smoking cigarettes or cigars, put them out in the appropriate areas. Do not throw them out the windows, as they will start wildfires as well. Have a safe week. We'll see you out there. Thanks for having us on.
Curtis, thank you so much. Again, you don't always think about fire in Car Week, but really the low to the ground cars and the vegetation fires we've been seeing recently really make you have to think twice about, making sure that you give first responders a way in case they need to get there. Really appreciate both of you. Curtis and Saul, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to share the information.
Thank you for having us on. Have a great week.
Well, as students head back to school, our county libraries have some very important support for students. All students need a little help with their homework, and that is what the libraries have to offer, and a lot of resources. We're very pleased to have Alison Day from the libraries to talk about what is available for students as the happy back to school time is here. Hi, Alison.
Hi, thank you. So at Monterey County Free Libraries, we have a ton of different things available for students. Of course, we have the traditional stuff, books, but all of our 16 locations are now what we're calling student support centers. So anybody who's familiar with Monterey County Free Libraries might remember our homework centers that were at some of our branches. We rebranded a little bit last year into calling these student support centers, and now we have have this service available at all of our branches. And with this comes the ability, of course, to access any of the materials that we have in the library, but also to access all of our computers. So all of our branches have free computer use, either with your library card or with a guest pass. We also have free Wi-Fi at all of our branches, so you're able to come in and use your own device to study when you're inside the library. We have printing available, and we have limited school supplies at some of our branches. A few of our branches also have people who are available to help you with your homework, not so much as a one-on-one tutoring thing, but kind of a guidance thing, letting you know where some of the resources might be within the buildings. And then one of our best resources that we have available are our online tutors through a database called Help Now from BrainFuse. And so that is an outside database that we provide. So it's totally free for use. You can use it in-house at the library, or you can use it from your home with your library card. And it hooks you up with a tutor so that you can work one-on-one, and it's available for all ages. So I used to use it actually when I was in college to get some help with some of my essays, but it's available for lower elementary school students all the way up through adult users. And then I just wanted to showcase where to find those resources on our website really quick. So I'm going to share screen and show you where some of that stuff is located. So this is our front page of the website. It's www.emcfl.org, and you can find access to our Student Support Center resources by going here to the Kids and Teens page and then clicking down here on Student Support Centers. Here it tells you everything that I was just telling you about the things that we offer. And there's a link right here to the Help Now resource that I was talking about. So when you click on that, you'll get all of these different things that you can use: the live tutoring, writing lab, sending in questions, et cetera, et cetera. They're available 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day. So that's available for you for free use from home or from a library. And then also down here, it'll show you the branches that do offer some actual in-person help in the hours that they have those available. So for instance, just clicking on the Marina branch, their Student Support Center is open on these days and times. And we have students from CSUMB who come in to help us at our student support centers. And then of course, library staff are always available to help you with anything that you might need in terms of locating resources, both online and in person. So we hope to see you in our libraries all times of year, but as school is gearing up, and we're available to help you with anything that you need. Thank you so much for having us.
Alison, thank you so much. And I mean, rebranding the libraries as student support centers is kind of a no-brainer. I mean, isn't that what they've always been?
Yes. Yeah.
All this time, but giving them a new name makes it very, makes it something new. How did the libraries connect up with the CSUMB students to get them to come in and support the homework centers?
So CSUMB has a service learning program that some students have to do in order to complete their graduation requirements. And so we just put out call outs for service learners. So they're different than interns. There's not as much paperwork involved on our end, but it gets them the credit that they need to complete requirements for their degree. And then we get some extra assistance, some volunteer assistance. And usually these service learners have somewhere between 25 and 30 hours that they need to complete within the semester. So one of the areas that we do is this in-person stuff with the student support centers, but we have them in a couple other capacities too, for tech help for adults, and well, for anybody, but usually for some older adults and navigating some of the tech help. And then I also use service learners to help me with MCFL's YouTube channel and creating videos. So we actually have service learners help us in a variety of different ways.
Well, and it's great for people who need that one-on-one in person. The
Yes.
online is fabulous, and it works for a lot of people, but sometimes you just need to sit across from somebody or next to somebody and say, help me.
Yeah.
So,
and as I said, we try our hardest to be able to provide some one-on-one help. Of course, depending on how busy it is in the branch and how many volunteers we have, et cetera, staffing, et cetera, we might not be able to provide a lot of one-on-one help, but we're always here to help you as best we can with finding those resources. And that's where that online component really comes into play. If we don't have volunteers that day, or if we're a little bit short-staffed, we're still able to help you get set up on the computer. And then we can always pop in to help you kind of navigate some of the stuff that the online person is saying and translate that into that face-to-face real-life connection.
Thank you so much, Alison.
Of course.
Great news, and we hope that all the kids can come in and take advantage of it, because school's on.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And then finally, our last topic, a series of community forums is happening this week. It's part of the launch of a zero emission shared mobility study that the county is doing. Now, what that means is that this is a chance for you to talk about transportation needs and preferences, what you think is working in the county, what you think is not working. So one forum is happening right now, and we have our sustainability program manager, Cora Panturad, here, who is in the middle of this forum, but she's taking a break and is going to talk about what people can expect at the forums and about the study in general. Hi, Cora.
Hi, man. Thank you so much. It's good to tune in today to wrap up because we're tying in some things. I'm actually tuning in from the Castroville Library right now. And I know that with Car Week happening, that a lot of our locals are experiencing increased traffic and such. So if you are a local or you own a business or you travel to Monterey and you're tired of traffic, you're looking for more affordable ways to get around, and you would like safer or more convenient options, then this project is for you. Can you see my slides okay, Maya?
Yes.
All right, so as a brief introduction, so as Maya said, we are trying to get this project really engaged with our community to advance sustainability and equity goals in the county, and to evaluate our shared mobility strategies and service models and how they can improve our public transportation system, especially in low-income, underserved, and rural communities. So that goal is to improve and expand these options, and we're really looking at focusing on our farm workers, hospitality workers, seasonal employees, and other underserved groups. So the project team that we have on this is the County of Monterey Sustainability Program. We're also working with the Association of Monterey Bay Area Governments, and then we have two consultants to support us. So we have Mobicon as our technical consultant. So they are a Dutch-based transportation company. So we're really looking forward to having them bring that Dutch transportation expertise to the county. And we also have the Shared Use Mobility Center, who is helping us with the project management and outreach and engagement side of things. And they're also really lovely. They've done a lot of this work before. So the county is really lucky to have them. So if all of that sounds well and good, but you have some questions on what is shared mobility, then here are some examples. So shared mobility is any kind of transportation method that you don't own but can use to get around. So buses count as that, but so do van shares, electric bike or electric scooter shared pickup locations like that you see with some of the Lyft bikes or some of the Lime scooters, and even small vehicles like you see on the bottom right with this electric golf carts. So sometimes those are options that people can use to get around in their community. And this is a county-wide project. So we are looking at all of our different jurisdictional partners to help with us within the County of Monterey. So we're in coordination with TAMC and MST, and we are really focusing on these different corridors that people use to get everywhere in the county, from the peninsula to Salinas and down through the Salinas Valley and up in Northern County as well. We just want to use this study as an opportunity, as Maya said, to look at our public transportation system and see how that's working for everyday people. And if it's not, then what are those gaps and how can we improve that with shared mobility? And that might allow enough resources to improve our public transportation system so they work for everybody. So to get feedback from the community, we do have a survey right now. So these QR codes on the left and for right are for English and Spanish respectively. So this will be up for a few weeks, and we're really looking forward to getting as much engagement as possible. And we also have these 3 in-person forums. So one of those is happening right now at the Castroville Library, and then we have 2 more. So one tonight in Marina, and then we have another one tomorrow night in King City. And that's my presentation. Thank you, Maya.
Cora, thank you so much for dropping in the middle of your forum and telling us about this, because there are opportunities for people to come and ask questions, because when people hear mobility, they may think, my ability to get around personally, but what we're talking about is something really different. So I'm wondering are you getting questions about how can people share this shared mobility? How does it really work?
Yeah, we are getting questions on that, and there's a lot of different models out there. So there are app-based systems. There are also membership-based systems, so you can have more of a key card type situation. And that way people can find something that works for them, so they can scan their phone or their QR code, and then they can just set on their way. Really, what we've been hearing a lot from the community is that there's a first mile and last mile problem. So people would love to take the bus more because it only costs $2, but to do that, they have to walk 25 minutes. And this is an opportunity for one of these shared mobility systems to really get people to the bus stop quickly and improve their commutes.
And then they dropped the survey links for those who are on the call. The survey links are in the chat, and then we're also going to share the survey on social media a little bit later. What will people have the opportunity to talk about in the survey or give their thoughts on in the survey?
So in the survey, they will be talking about the kinds of trips they're taking, the general areas that they're trying to go and how they're used to getting around. And then we're also going to be discussing the different barriers that people have to access public transportation, whether they would ride a bicycle more, if it was safer, these kinds of questions so that we can start to point out, okay, people in this community and would really love to ride their bike more or to take public transportation, but they just don't feel safe doing that because of the infrastructure, or the bus doesn't come as often as they need it to based on their work schedule. So it's really how do these systems work with our everyday lives?
And I see we have someone from MobiCon on the call, and I don't know if they're interested in jumping in and talking about how they're looking at Monterey County compared to where they live and other communities that they've served. What are ideas that they have for us?
Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie. Yes, I work for MobiCon, and I'm very happy to be supporting this project. I actually live in Portland, Oregon, where there is a large amount of shared use mobility available to the public, and a lot of tourists come here, and they especially like to travel on e-scooter and e-bike. And it's a very robust city-supported system. So I think that would be a really great opportunity, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the community agrees with that, and if that's something that they would be interested in seeing in their community.
Thank you. And I know, tourism is Monterey County, tourism is Monterey. So that insight, Cora, really, I think helps us look at what we can add in, even if it's a little bit at a time. Maybe we may not be reaching the bus riders, but we could be reaching the visitors who may want to take an e-bike or park their car or come in by plane and not use a car at all when they're in Monterey County.
Exactly. We're really looking at expanding options for how people get around when they're in the county, whether that is for commuting or if it's just for visiting and having a lovely day out on the town as you're visiting our community. Then we want that to be easy, and we want you to spend less time in traffic, which the locals also very much appreciate.
For sure. Thank you both for talking about this. Really, best of luck with your additional forums, and we look forward to hearing the results of the survey when it's completed or when it's ready.
All right. So thank you very much, Maya. We hope to see lots of people out in Marina and King City later.
Absolutely. And I'd be remiss if I didn't share our Car Week interactive map for people who are experiencing Car Week traffic this week. So it's mccarweek.com. And for those who may not have used the map before, it goes by day and you can select a day. So let's select tomorrow. pretty busy around Monterey County and specifically the peninsula area. So this interactive map lets you know what's out there, how to plan to get around it, or how to get there, depending on your preference. So we hope you'll take advantage of the map, mccarweek.com. And thanks everyone for joining us on the news briefing this week. Our next briefing is next week.